Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and we take a look at the markets so we all know exactly what is happening. It is not 11 a.m. because we were waiting for the ETF announcement to take place, expecting some dramatic movements for the price of Bitcoin, but we have not seen that today. It's been absolutely bizarre what's happening in the markets right now. Things aren't moving. We need to talk about this today. We're going to do a full update on what's happened within the last 24 hours because it's been absolutely crazy. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. It's 10:45 at night here in the UK. I was worried that we were going to be here until midnight, 1 a.m. waiting for this news to come out, but we have had an official statement off Gary Gensler now. It has been a little bit crazy with the SEC website getting a 404 error. We did see the SEC's Twitter account getting hacked yesterday as well, so it's been an absolute madness within the last 24 hours. And now that we've officially got this news, solid evidence from Gary Gensler himself in a formal letter to us all as a crypto community, we've seen that proof for our own eyes. Bitcoin's not moving. We've been waiting for this event for such a long time, expecting Bitcoin to absolutely rocket, and it just has not happened. So we will be talking about all of this today. Make sure to like today's stream, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Jason Smith says it's 8 a.m. over in Australia. That is much easier to trade. We've been watching this all day waiting for some movements. It is now 10:45 at night in the UK. We finally get the information we wanted, but not the volatility that we wanted. So very, very strange here today. Let's first recap what's happened within the last 24 hours. First of all, the SEC's Twitter account did post yesterday that the ETFs had been accepted, and then we found out that actually the Twitter account was compromised because the SEC don't use two-factor authentication on their Twitter account. If we go over to Twitter here and we take a look at what I think this is best to search SEC. Here we go. Their name will come up and we can see their most recent tweets. So they have not actually tweeted the confirmation of a spot Bitcoin ETF. Instead, they have done some formal letters on the SEC account. I imagine they've not tweeted about this because of what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we had a tweet from the SEC's Twitter account saying all spot Bitcoin ETFs have been accepted. And then we found this second tweet that said the SEC Twitter account was compromised and an unauthorized post was posted. The SEC has not approved the listings and tradings of spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. Now, since saying that, we have seen a tweet from X or from Elon Musk. I think it might be best to go to Elon Musk's page and see what he had to say about this. So following the tweets from the SEC page, we did see, let's see if we can find something on here. It was about 24 hours ago now. So let's see if we've got any tweets on here. It might actually be on the official X account. So they have, here we go. So Safety have actually tweeted here, we can confirm that the account SEC Gov was compromised and we have completed a preliminary investigation. Based on our investigation, the promise was not due to any breaches of X's systems, but rather due to an unidentified individual obtaining control over a phone number associated with the SEC Gov account through a third party. We can also confirm that the account did not have a two-factor authentication enabled at the time the account was compromised. We encourage all users to enable this extra layer of security. More information and tips on how to keep your account secure can be found in our help center. So we can see there that Twitter are giving the SEC advice on how to keep their Twitter accounts safe. Using two-factor authentication is just an absolute basic when it comes to online safety, but the SEC had not done so, so their account was compromised. That caused a bit of a blip for the price of Bitcoin. If we go to the 4-hour chart here, this massive candle here was yesterday evening when we saw the fake announcement that spot Bitcoin ETFs had been accepted. Now, there was more volatility there than when actually Bitcoin got accepted. If you look at the volumes here, there was more volume in the fake announcement yesterday than it was today when the real announcement has come off. And I think that is because there are so many people scared in the market. So many people were liquidated yesterday in the market. I think this is just what's happened here, and people just on either people have lost attention, people have lost all their money through the liquidations that have come in the last couple of days, or people are just being overcautious right now because of what's happened. So what's happened here is obviously yesterday the SEC, as I just said, had their account compromised, and they did say that the ETFs were going live on their Twitter. So that caused a lot of liquidations. The price moved to the upside sharply and then back to the downside sharply. We then did see earlier this evening a post on the SEC website stating that ETFs had gone live and all had been approved, but then suddenly the PDF went offline. We could no longer gain access to that document that confirmed that spot Bitcoin ETFs had being accepted by the SEC. So then there was more concerns on cryptocurrency Twitter where we weren't all 100% confident that the products had been accepted. And I was thinking to myself, maybe the website has now been hacked as well. Anything is possible at this point, but we have now seen a formal letter and statement from the chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler. So I want to be talking about this right now. PG says ETH ecosystem pumping well tonight. This is something that I would like to talk about right now, because a lot of other tokens in the markets are performing incredibly well. A lot of us were speculating that Bitcoin would pump off the back of this news. So far, we have not seen that pump, but I will be discussing when I think we will get that pump, or if I think we will get that pump within the next within this stream. And we will also take a look at some altcoins, because some altcoins have been performing incredibly well off the back of this news. But first of all, let's take a look at this article here. So the statement on the approval of spot Bitcoin exchange traded products from Chairman Gary Gensler. Today, the Commission approved the listing and trading of a number of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded products. So I've often said that the Commission acts within the law and how the courts interpret the law. Beginning under Chair Clayton in 2018, the Commission disapproved more than 20 exchange ruling filings for spot Bitcoin ETPs. One of those filings, made by Grayscale, contemplated the conversion of Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust into an ETP. We all know how that went. They actually ended up going to court with the SEC, and Grayscale won that lawsuit. And the reasons as to why the SEC rejected their ETF were proven to be wrong. So the SEC lost there. Now, the Commission evaluates any rule filing by a national securities exchange based upon whether it is consistent with the Exchange Act and regulations thereunder, including whether it is designed to protect investors and the public interest. So what the SEC is saying here, look, we are here to protect investors. We are going to do research before we let these products go live. We did not think historically that these products were suitable for investors, so we were protecting investors by not letting them go live. But now we are seeing that these products can go live. So investors today can already buy and sell or otherwise gain exposure to Bitcoin at a number of brokerage houses, through mutual funds, on national securities exchanges, through peer-to-peer payment apps, on non-compliant crypto trading platforms, and of course through the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Today's actions will include certain protections for investors. So sponsors of Bitcoin ETPs will be required to provide full, fair and truthful disclosure about the products. Investors in any Bitcoin ETP that is listed and traded will benefit from the disclosure included in public registration statements and required periodic filings. While these disclosures are required, it is important to note that today's action does not endorse the disclosed ETP arrangements, such as custody arrangements. Second, these products will be listed and traded on registered national securities exchanges. So he's saying, look, people can already get access and exposure to Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency space. And some of the ways you can do that aren't exactly what we're agreeing with. They've said in that statement there, you can already gain access to cryptocurrency through non-compliant crypto trading platforms. They're saying, look, there's problems in this industry, but if people want exposure to this asset, we want to provide a way for them to do so in a safer way. And if we launch these ETPs, we can measure them very closely. So they're also saying here, these products will be listed and traded on registered national securities exchanges. Such regulated exchanges are required to have rules designed to prevent fraud and manipulation, and we will monitor them closely to ensure that they are enforcing those rules. Furthermore, the Commission will fully investigate any fraud or manipulation in the securities markets, including schemes that use social media platforms. Such regulated exchanges also have rules designed to address certain conflicts of interest, as well as to protect investors and the public interest. And another reason we've got here as to why they've chosen to accept these ETFs is the Commission staff is separately completing the review of registration statements for 10 spot Bitcoin ETPs simultaneously, which will help create a level playing field for issuers and promote fairness and competition, benefiting investors and the broader market. So what we've already seen here is we are seeing simultaneous acceptance of the ETF applicants so far. Now, we've all been anticipating that this was going to happen. This means that, as it says in this statement, it's a fair playing field. There's going to be a massive first mover advantage here if one was to be launched first. So to see them all launched together allows them all to go out and see what they can do. Now, we've seen a lot of competition already when it comes to the fees with these ETFs. When you buy and sell ETFs, you are going to pay a fee to do so. And all of these issuers of these ETFs have been trying to lower their fees as much as possible to have a competitive rate compared to their competition. Now, what we're seeing here is Gary Gensler, of course, has finished off his letter with a little bit of a warning. Though, I'd note that the underlying assets in the metals ETPs have consumer and industrial uses, while in contrast, Bitcoin is primarily a speculative, volatile asset that's also used for illicit activity, including ransomware, money laundering, sanction evasion, and terrorist financing. While we approved the listing and trading of certain spot Bitcoin ETP shares today, we did not approve or endorse Bitcoin. Investors should remain cautious about the myriad risks associated with Bitcoin and products whose value is tied to cryptocurrency. So although we have seen the acceptance here, he's saying, look, we still don't like cryptocurrency. I mean, we couldn't expect it all at once here. If he turned around and said, by the way, I do like Bitcoin, it would be a bit of a shock to the system there. So this is exactly what we were hoping for today. We have not seen Bitcoin move in the way that we wanted it to, and that's being completely honest there. If we take a look at what's happening here on the 1 minute chart, Bitcoin is moving to the upside now. This is literally what it looks like when we see an interest rate change. This is like, there should be so much more movement than this. What we're seeing right now is Bitcoin's being volatile, yes, but it's not being super bullish. We had price targets at $50,000, and to me, if we were looking at the markets there, I could say that with 90% certainty, if we got 99% certainty, if we got that ETF, we should expect some nice moves to the upside. I cannot believe that we have not seen this, but we do need to notice here that yes, the SEC has accepted these ETFs and we will see the launch of these products, but we have not yet seen them launch. They're all actually going to launch tomorrow. Now, there's been rumors that BlackRock have a huge amount of money, I believe $2 billion, to invest in their spot Bitcoin ETF, and all of these issuers of these ETFs are going to have to back them. So when people start to invest in them, they're going to have to buy more Bitcoin. This has all along been a very bullish thing for Bitcoin in the long term. The short-term effects were, yes, something that we wanted to take advantage of and something that we want to profit off, essentially, but the long-term goals are even more important. And I'm fingers crossed here, I'm looking at this and saying, when the markets open tomorrow, that's when we may see some volatility that we were hoping and expecting to see today. But in the long term, the positive impacts of these ETFs are still there, and that's the best thing that we've got here. I don't think we should be too disappointed that we didn't get that volatility that we wanted, because we're all here for the long term. Yes, we wanted to make a good trade today. Maybe it will be coming tomorrow when the markets open again and these products actually go live. But either way, we have got those long-term positive effects here. Let's run through those very, very quickly. So spot Bitcoin ETFs mean that retail investors can get exposure to the space a lot easier. If we do see a Bitcoin bull run this year as anticipated, if we go with the 4-year cycles here, then a lot of retail investors, so people like you and me, may choose not to invest in cryptocurrency because they're too scared of the industry. They don't understand cryptocurrency. They don't know what centralized exchange to use. They've just heard that they're bad because FTX reached the mainstream media, and they don't know what self-custody is. So they typically, in previous bull runs, would have just shied away and chosen not to enter the markets. But having a spot Bitcoin ETF removes all of those barriers for retail investors and means they can get involved a little bit easier, and it may just push a few more people into the markets in the bull market and drive adoption that much more. What else have we got here? We've got institutional investors as well. So we've already seen in the last couple of weeks, funds that are registered as securities have chosen to update their documentation ahead of the approval of these ETFs, so that when these ETFs go live, they can move some of their funds around and get exposure to Bitcoin, whether that be through spot Bitcoin ETFs, futures Bitcoin ETFs, or through Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust. So they've already been making moves to get exposure to the cryptocurrency space. And we're not talking small percentages here. Some of these funds have updated their documentation so they can get 50% exposure to Bitcoin. We're seeing a big range here between about 15 to 50% with those funds, but we're seeing a lot of people saying, look, now this is the time that we want to be researching this a little bit more and getting involved. So the long-term effects of this ETF approval is super bullish. So we've got retail investors, we've got institutional investors, we've got financial advisors now being able to access cryptocurrency when it comes to their clients' investments, pension funds as well. They can all now get involved in Bitcoin. Historically, I've spoken to so many financial advisors over the years, and they've just not been able to touch the assets. They haven't really paid it any attention. When they've got a wide range of assets they can touch and ones they can't, they're not going to look at the ones they can't too deeply. So we can really see that there is a huge opportunity here for a wave of people moving into cryptocurrency. The third and final thing as to why Bitcoin ETFs are so bullish is that these companies have already been promoting Bitcoin as an investment asset. We've seen Bitwise push so many different Bitcoin advertisement videos so far, and now these ETFs are going live. All of these companies are competing to get the most funds under management. So what they need to do is they need to market those products well. They need to lower those transaction fees and be a competitive player in this market. They all want to get as much money as possible into their funds, so they are going to market that hard. The harder they market it, the more interest they will pique, and the more likely we could see nice movements here and bigger waves of adoption. Let's take a look at what is going on the price of Bitcoin here quickly. We've got 44 viewers on today's stream and we've got 26 likes. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. In fact, I am going to share today's stream on my Twitter right now so we can get more viewers on today's stream. Please also share the stream with your friends if you have not done so already. Let me pull this off and share this to Twitter. Let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin very closely here. So the volatility has not been how we wanted it today, but I have just said there, I think we could see some volatility coming in the next 24 hours when the markets open tomorrow and these ETFs do actually launch. So that's what I'm hoping for right now. Things may change. Let's put breaking spot Bitcoin. In fact, you can watch me do this tweet together. Breaking spot Bitcoin ETF launch tomorrow. There we go. Tomorrow. Exclamation mark. There we go. Breaking spot Bitcoin ETF. Hashtag Bitcoin ETF launches tomorrow. There we go. So ETFs are now going live. Let's see what that Martini guy's tweeted. Bitcoin ETF is priced in. You have no idea how fundamentals work. Billions of dollars of pension fund money has not yet invested. So what's happened here is, yes, Bitcoin has not performed as well as we wanted it to. We can all see that. It's clear as day. On the 1 hour chart, there's been some mad wicks to the downside, but we have seen that buying pressure coming back into the markets here. We are currently trading at $45,852. Bitcoin has moved up a huge amount since these ETFs were first filed. So what we're seeing here is a lot of people are saying, are they priced in? Are they priced in? Is this a buy the rumor, sell the news event? To be honest, a buy the rumor, sell the news event doesn't look like this either. When we see a buy the rumor, sell the news event, when the news comes out, the price drops. The price has not dropped. So the price has done nothing. It is quite disappointing to see that lack of volatility right now, but I do hope that when the markets open tomorrow and these products go live and people start to invest in these products, I know that we will see some positive effects from these ETFs. All is not lost. Although we didn't get that initial volatility, we're all here for the long term, and these ETF, the bullish effects of these ETFs are a long-term thing. The initial pump was just kind of a bonus that we were going to see. Well, we thought we were going to see. Let's see what's going on in the live chat here. Smirthy says, evening, Jess and everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for tuning in. Jason is all the way in Australia. It's only 8 a.m. there. Let's see what's going on here. PG says, ETH ecosystem pumping well tonight. Yeah, we will go through other altcoins that are performing well right now, and we'll be talking about why they're performing so well right now. What else have we got here? Well, Jess, is this small movement disappointing? It is very, very disappointing here, to be honest. I thought we were going to see more. The spot Bitcoin ETFs will have a huge impact on the future of Bitcoin. It is disappointing that we haven't seen too much of a movement here, but I don't think that's it. I don't think that's the end of the positive effects of spot Bitcoin ETFs. We will see a huge long-term effect on Bitcoin thanks to these ETFs. I'm very looking forward to that. And I do think tomorrow when we see the markets open and we see these ETFs launch, we could see some of that volatility that we were wishing for today. But nothing is financial advice, nothing is certain. We all know that by now. The last 24 hours have been absolutely crazy. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Raven said, late night streaming with Jess, send it. I know this is such a late live stream. We were looking at the times that the ETF was going to go live, and it said between 9 and 11, and I was thinking, okay, we can do this. And then I was seeing more information between 11 and 1 p.m, and I just thought, I've waited this long now. We may as well wait until the news goes live. So I didn't know if it was going to be a 10 p.m. stream or a 1 a.m. stream, but I'm glad it's the first one. Let's take a look at what's going on in the chat. Jason Smith says, if you chart it, it's still primed for a pump. Maybe just early to the game, great opportunity to adjust positions. Just take the Twitter hack post out and it all lines up. Evening Jess, good evening Jess. Any idea why Dot is going nuts? We will talk about Dot in just a second. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Please don't forget also to go over to my tweet over on Twitter. I will put the link in the chat. If you can retweet that, I would very much appreciate it. Let's see what else is going on in the markets here. So what was I going to say then? I wanted to discuss something here. I want to move on to the altcoins, but before I move on to the altcoins, I want to take a closer look at what is going on with Bitcoin. So we can see here that trading view has logged me out on one tab but not the other. I was refreshing this page for press releases all day, expecting the news to come out here first, but it just did not happen. RG Entertainment says, people don't understand how big this news really is. I feel like this will bring institutional investors and legitimizes Bitcoin as not a scam, which will draw so much attention to the space. This is so important here. As I've just said, we have retail investors, institutional investors, marketing from massive companies that have previously very much been against cryptocurrency. The long-term effects of this are huge. And that point there about legitimizing Bitcoin is so important. Earlier on last year, we were hearing governments talking about treating cryptocurrency as if it was gambling. And we were all very frustrated behind the scenes in Crypto Saving Expert about that, because we all thought this completely illegitimizes cryptocurrency. That is not what this is, and we don't want it to be treated like that. So seeing spot Bitcoin ETFs coming forwards and seeing that gambling thing get removed, we've really seen a shift here, and it's been really positive. I like to see things like this happening in the markets, and this spot Bitcoin ETF isn't something that's just been spoken about recently. This has been a fight for the space. The space has been having with the SEC for years. They've been rejecting ETFs for years. So I am very much disappointed that we didn't see a bigger move here, but I do think there is one to come. Bina says, I think this is better. Prices should go up as real money is pumped in. We may face less resistance. Let's take a look at what's going on with the price of Bitcoin here. So we are seeing a little bit of green now, slightly on the smaller time frames. We've seen a huge amount of volatility, just not in any direction. When I was talking about the ETFs and what would happen with these ETFs and the approval of the ETFs, what would happen to Bitcoin here, I was looking at the markets, and I've seen events like this happen before. I've never seen a spot Bitcoin ETF go live, obviously, but I've seen massive events occur in cryptocurrency, and every single time, by the time you've checked Twitter and gone back to your exchange to buy Bitcoin or enter a position, you've already missed the trade. So that is the exact same thing I was expecting here. I was expecting as soon as you find the news out, it's too late. If you remember a couple of months ago when Cointelegraph falsely reported that spot Bitcoin ETFs had gone live, by the time you'd found that out on Twitter and then gone back to your exchange, it was too late. Bitcoin was pumping massively. And the same thing happened yesterday when the SEC tweeted or falsely tweeted that spot Bitcoin ETF was going live. By the time you found that out and got back to your exchange, Bitcoin was pumping. So I 100% expected that to be the same today. But today there were some problems. Obviously, we saw the document go live on the SEC website. It was then removed. We then saw some speculation over whether it was legitimate. So the whole thing kind of had layers to it. And by the time we actually got that approval there, the markets were scared. A huge amount of people were liquidated. And we didn't get that same volatility, which we had got had this not been such a long out process. So let's see what else is going on in the price though. Let's take a look and draw some lines on here. I've been saying on these live streams that if you chart out Bitcoin right now, the price is going to completely ignore it when we have some volatility from the ETF news, because the price of Bitcoin is so dependent on the news right now. However, I think it's time to look at supports and resistances. Look at the trading volumes. The trading volumes are incredibly low here. If you take a look at the 1 hour chart, you can see we have a level of resistance here at $46,500. If we have a look at some levels of support, you can see this is running right down there, and that's a low. That's a low one. I would also like to take a look at the CME gap as well. It is only Wednesday, but something I want to be taking a look at here. If we go to BTC 1 exclamation mark, let's take a look at this. BTC futures. If we take a look at this, you can see we have a CME gap down at $39,710. So that's something to be aware of here as well. However, I don't want to. I am long at this point in time. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in that position for. I do want to close that position before I go to sleep, and I want to reassess in the morning before these products do go live. Nothing is financial advice here. I'm in a predicament now because I was so confident that these ETFs were going to cause a huge shift to the upside if they got accepted. And now we've seen that acceptance and we just have not seen the volatility in the markets that we were expecting. Right now we are seeing a bit of a move to the upside for Bitcoin. The markets are looking a little bit green. If we take a look at the 5-minute chart, you can see we've got some sort of double bottom here and it's moving nicely up back above $46,000. We've got 84 people watching today's stream right now. We have never hit those numbers before on the Crypto Saving Expert channel, so please make sure to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Back to talking about what's going on here with these ETFs. I think the problem here, and I think the reason we have not seen so much volatility is because people have been scared about this so many times. First of all, we had Cointelegraph falsely reporting that spot Bitcoin ETFs were launched a couple of months ago, and they weren't, and people were burnt. Then we had the Twitter account from the SEC posting yesterday that the ETFs had been accepted, and they weren't, and people were liquidated. And then we saw some unsure information coming out when the SEC had the document on their website saying spot Bitcoin ETFs were live, and then the document kind of went offline for a couple of minutes. That just created doubt in people's minds, and that has not allowed us to see the volatility that we wanted to see in the markets here. I was really expecting a huge pump out of nowhere that could really push us up to those $50,000 levels. So it is disappointing that we did not see those movements, but we really need to think of what's happening in the long term here. When it comes to Bitcoin and ETFs, we are going to see a huge wave of retail investors, people that were scared to get into the cryptocurrency space in previous bull markets now have easy access to get exposure to the markets. We also have institutional investors who can now get exposure and invest lots into the cryptocurrency space. As I've just said, we've already seen funds changing their documentation so they can push money and get exposure to Bitcoin in those funds if they're already registered as securities. So I think we mentioned this on a stream a couple of days ago. Funds that are registered as securities in the SEC have been changing their documentation within the last couple of weeks so that if these ETFs go live, they can put a portion of their portfolio into assets that are exposed into the cryptocurrency markets, whether that be Bitcoin futures ETFs or Bitcoin spot ETFs. So all of those funds have now got the ability to get exposure to the cryptocurrency space through these ETFs. So we're going to see a huge wave of movement from institutional investors. We've also got what's the word that I'm looking for? Financial advisors who can now get exposure to Bitcoin through these ETFs. There's a huge demand coming from people wanting to get involved in ETFs, and that demand means these issuers of these ETFs need to buy Bitcoin. So we could see a huge move to the upside in the long term here, and although we didn't get that immediate action and that immediate move to the upside that we are all perfectly positioned for in our trades, we will still see the long-term effects of this, and that is what's really important. We're all here for the long term. Yes, we wanted to profit tonight from that nice big piece of news that we've been waiting for such a long time, but I think we will all benefit from this in the long term. And I do think it will be interesting tomorrow when the markets open again. If you look at what happened on Monday this week and what happened on Monday last week, we saw a huge amount of volatility. We saw the markets dramatically move to the upside as soon as the markets opened. So we could see that again tomorrow off the back of this news. I am not giving any financial advice. I'm just speculating on what's happening right now. We've seen it 2 Mondays in the row on the run up to the acceptance of these ETFs. So now we've had the actual acceptance. When the markets open, will we see something similar? That's what I'm looking at right now. And I'm not in a trade position for that just yet. I think I will be closing my trade this evening and repositioning myself in the morning just because I don't like to sleep on a leveraged trade. But I think there's a really nice opportunity here, and I think it's a pretty interesting one. Let's take a look at what's going on here in the stream. We've got 89 viewers on today's stream. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got TMG in the chat tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to like today's stream, Jordan. Let's see what's going on here in the chat. Staying up, how was your day, TMG Trades? Oh, he's just talking to himself in the chat. Let's see what's going on in the prices of other assets here. To be honest, Bitcoin's actually moving to the upside right now. If we go back to the 1 hour chart and we take a look here, I've got Bitcoin up on about 15 screens in front of me here. I think what's best, what time frame am I on there? If we take a look at the 30-minute chart, you can see here, or even the 15. I think the 15 is a little bit too much. If we take a look at the half-hour chart here, you can see the resistance is at $46,500. And we could be attacking that right now. Maybe the news is starting to sink in, but maybe I'm just feeling bullish because I want it to be bullish. Let's take a look at what's going on. I don't know why I'm only logged in on one tab here. Very frustrating. Let's take a look at what's going on for Ethereum instead. I'm logged out of everything now. I don't know what's going on with everything. Why is everything being problematic today? Let's take a look at Ethereum as well. See what's going on here. Ethereum USDT. I'm just laughing at Jordan having a conversation with himself in the live chat today. Let's see what's going on here. Ethereum is pumping so much. We were in the wrong trade here. What's happened is, I was positioned for Bitcoin. I was not positioned for Ethereum. I think a lot of people that are viewing this stream already know by now that I'm very much fully into Bitcoin at this point. I've been investing in Bitcoin for the last year, not really focusing on any altcoins, not really focusing on Ethereum, and now I'm looking to shift over. Now this Bitcoin ETF news is out of the way. I've been looking at this chart for the last year and essentially been looking at what happens prior to a Bitcoin halving. And typically, up until a couple of months before Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin performs the best, and this chart has confirmed that once again this time. But now we are approaching that Bitcoin halving. The Bitcoin ETF news is out the way. This is the time where I'm starting to look at Ethereum and high cap coins and starting to look to shift my portfolio in that area. So typically in a bull market in the 4-year cycles, we see Bitcoin perform the best, and then high cap coins, then mid cap coins, then low cap coins. I did Bitcoin, and now I'm starting to shift into high cap coins, and we are already seeing that Ethereum take that huge bounce there. If we take a look at what's going on for Ethereum closer though, let's take a look here. So we can see it's just completely moving to the upside. I mean, there's not too much to chart here. It's broken through its level of resistance. If we get into a daily chart here, an hourly chart, a 4-hour chart might even be better at this point. It's broken through a major level of resistance here. If we pull this all the way through here, you can see we've used we've bounced this 3 times, used it as a level of resistance, and now it's shot straight through to the upside. Now, if we take a look at what is going on through, I mean, we can get a better level of support than that, can't we? Let's see if we can find. There isn't too much here. Maybe if I can draw a line on the chart, that would be better. Let's see. I think this is a pretty solid level of support, to be fair. We did get close to it once. Let's see if we can fix that. I think this is the best level of support we had there on the Ethereum chart. So we were in a nice channel there. We've broken to the upside. We've broken above $2,445. We're now at $25,000. $2,530. I wish we were at $25,000 Ethereum. That would be absolutely amazing. But Bitcoin is moving to the upside here. I think what's happening is we all saw Bitcoin shoot to the upside off the rumor of there being a spot Bitcoin ETF. And now everybody wants to get the chance of having that same effect when it comes to Ethereum, because we have seen Ethereum ETF applications as well. So people are trying to shift into Ethereum and get similar gains to what we've just seen for Bitcoin. Now that may be the case and it may be possible. But I've still got my eyes on Bitcoin. I want to see what happens to Bitcoin in the morning when these products do actually launch. And when we take a look at what's happening with some similar altcoins as well, somebody had said in the chat that DOT was pumping. If we take a look at USDT, we can see that has been performing incredibly well. Let's delete all of these lines. So if we take a look at the 4-hour chart, there is a clear level of resistance here that we've not yet broken through. So I would be keeping an eye on that. We also had one here that we've obviously already broken through. So very nice moves here for altcoins. Let's take a look at Chainlink here, because I sold some of my Chainlink to increase my Bitcoin margin, so I'm quite sad about this. Chainlink has broken to the upside only recently. This is the 4-hour chart. Here we go. Chainlink hasn't performed as well as the others. Let's take a look at this. Chainlink's up about 6% here. Chainlink's been so slow in this market, this entire cycle. Chainlink has broken to the upside much later than the rest of the altcoins in that December pump, and now it's just not performing as well as the others either. If we take a look back at DOT, USDT, Chainlink just seems to be lagging behind on every pump, and that's fine. I like to notice things like this, because this means if you miss out on the initial opportunity, you should check out Chainlink and see how that's doing, because if it's just going to be slow to the mark every time, it's a second opportunity to the mark every time, and that's just a nice thing to notice in these markets. And then eventually it'll stop happening and you need to find some other patterns in the markets. But those patterns are pretty profitable things to be keeping an eye out for. Taking a look at Bitcoin, it is actually approaching that level of resistance, which is pretty nice. I'm getting a phone call there. The level of resistance there, which is at 46,520. What did I just say? $46,530 there. Imagine if we got a nice break to the upside now. Bitcoin is pumping right now. Let's see. And what time do you call this? Let's see what's going on here. Is Bitcoin pumping? Is this the excitement we were looking for? Was it just really slow to affect the markets? Good job we haven't closed our trades just yet. What we can see here is Bitcoin is slightly moving to the upside. Well, I was gonna finish today's stream off, but I don't think we are anymore, because I think Bitcoin is gonna continue to pump here. Let's keep a close eye on this and see what happens. I mean, I wouldn't personally say it's a brilliant time to enter the markets. It's a brilliant time for me to hope and pray that my trades that I entered earlier in the day are going to actually get a lot more profitable than they were looking. Let's see what's going on. Rob says Solana is pumping. Let's take a look at this. Sorry, James. I've just realized that it was you in the chat. We were waiting for the ETF news. We had to get the ETF news on the 10th of January. We couldn't go live without it. We didn't know what time the ETF news was going to be. I thought I was going to be doing a 1 a.m. stream. So it's quite nice that it did come out so early in the day. What was so early in the day? 10 p.m.? Earlier in the evening, we should say. What we've got here. Let's see what's going on. Bitcoin is pumping. Solana is pumping. Let's take a look at this. Now, Solana is an interesting one, because I will admit, when FTX collapsed, I swore against ever investing in Solana ever again. Solana was one of my biggest gainers in the previous bull market, and then I sold it and took some nice profits from it, and then I shorted it when FTX collapsed, and I thought that is all the profit that I'm going to get out of this token. And then since then, it's performed incredibly. So although it was a token that made me smile, it's now a token that makes me very angry. If we take a look at this, Solana is actually approaching a level of resistance here. But as I've been saying, when it comes to these ETFs, if we're going to get that big shock of volatility, resistances can just be absolutely destroyed. I think we should just be looking at the prices of these assets and seeing where they can go. I think we should be looking at the timings here. We are like the markets are starting to. Is Bitcoin moving? Is Bitcoin moving? If Bitcoin starts to move and get that volatility back in it, then I imagine the altcoins may potentially slow down, because all eyes will be back on Bitcoin while this news is kind of sinking into the markets. But I do think that this is going to be more entertaining tomorrow when these products actually launch. Unfortunately, we did not see that volatility today that we wanted. And I don't think we're going to get it anytime now. Bitcoin has kind of retraced that little small pump that we did see. We haven't seen a confirmation close above that level of resistance. Maybe we will. We've got 35 minutes to find out. We have not. Oh, we do actually have some news to discuss that is not a spot Bitcoin ETF. That we could go through some non-Bitcoin ETF related news. Please don't forget, before we continue, to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got 60 likes on today's stream, which I think is the most that we have ever had on a Crypto Saving Expert live stream. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, Stuart says, I'm happy again. Bitcoin is pumping. James says, remember to look at BTC match, not USDT price, if sold alts to move into Bitcoin. I always do this. I always look at the Bitcoin value because I'm always disappointed if my Bitcoin value has gone down, even though my dollar value has gone up. That is not the goal here. Vance says, Bitcoin to the moon, all ETFs approved by the SEC. Well, this is what we wanted. We wanted Bitcoin to go to the moon. Why is Bitcoin not on the moon right now? Why is Bitcoin not at $50,000? It doesn't make sense. We've wanted these ETFs for years. We've tried to get these ETFs for years. We've fought against the SEC in court for these ETFs. Now they're live. Why aren't we celebrating? Why aren't we buying? Who is not buying? Because you should be buying. That was not financial advice. You should not be buying. But where's the pub? Where is the pub? It was meant to be here and it's not here. I'm confused. So what we're saying is hopeful. I mean, I'm just being hopeful that we'll get the pump tomorrow instead when these products launch and when the market's open. But who knows at this point in time? This to me was a dead certain bullish event, and it just has not been. We've seen volatility, but in neither direction. As I said at the start of today's stream, the amount of volatility we've seen in the markets right now is the same amount of volatility that we see when the interest rates come out. What is going on? I don't understand why we aren't all more excited about this. But unfortunately, Bitcoin has been rejected from that level of resistance on the 15-minute chart, coming back down again. It's just not what we were after. Let's take a look at some non-Bitcoin ETF news, and hopefully by the time we look back at the Bitcoin chart, it'll be back up and it'll be above $50,000. What we've got here is Ripple plans to buy back $285 million worth of shares from early investors, according to a report. We've got Coinbase execs want to help SEC fix security issues after fake Bitcoin ETF announcement. This article did make me laugh. Coinbase's offer to assist the SEC is surprising as the duo are currently involved in a legal battle. But that was quite a funny one there. Centralized exchanges spot volume increased by 27.4% in December. So volume continued to rise on centralized exchanges. We've seen here Binance is without question the market leader, showing its dominance each month. The exchange recorded $426 billion in spot volume compared to second place Upbit with $90 billion. So Binance is still performing incredibly well despite some regulatory concerns. We've got ETF applicants begin slashing fees as race for number one hots up. We did see some competition in the markets there for these spot Bitcoin ETFs. Let's talk about that quickly, and we'll put the price of Bitcoin up here so you can watch that as we discuss. What we've got here is a donation from Rob C in the chat. Thank you very much for that donation. We need it if Bitcoin's not going to pump here. Great stream, Jess, and happy days to come. Although it has not been bullish today, it is a bullish event, and we should all be very grateful that the SEC have finally accepted these products into the market. So thank you very much for that donation. I very much appreciate it, and I appreciate you tuning in every single day. Let's talk about this article here. What was I about to discuss there? The competition between the fees for the ETFs. So what we've seen is these applicants for the ETFs, they're all competing to have the lowest fees because, as we've been saying for a very, very long time, we've got simultaneous acceptance now, so none of them have first mover advantage, and instead, they all just need to make themselves as desirable as possible. What does that mean? It means they're going to market Bitcoin as an investment very, very heavily. They're going to try and push themselves in front of new users a lot, and they're going to try and have competitive fees. The one with the lowest fees are going to be the most attractive to investors. So they're in a competition here. So can you imagine a scenario that where BlackRock, VanEck, and Fidelity are all promoting Bitcoin ETFs, promoting to investors that they should get exposure to the cryptocurrency space, and trying to push their products in front of new eyes. This is an absolutely insane event that we've all wanted for so long, but it is so bullish because we have the biggest companies in the world saying, look, take a look at this Bitcoin product. Maybe you should be investing in Bitcoin. We're going to see a huge amount of people coming into this space. It's so much easier to get exposure to the cryptocurrency industry now. As I was saying earlier, retail investors have typically, some of them have shied away from cryptocurrency. I know a lot of people in the previous bull market that came to me and said, I want to get into Bitcoin, I want to buy cryptocurrency. And by the time I've kind of explained it, just download Swissborg and do this, this, and this, they've clocked out. They're not interested anymore because it's too much. They don't want to learn about centralized exchanges, about self-custody. They just want to be able to buy it easily like they can invest in a stock. So now they have the opportunity. And I think if this hadn't occurred and we didn't have these ETFs, we'd have had an even bigger problem when it comes to retail investors in the next bull market than we did in the last one, because mainstream media made Bitcoin and cryptocurrency seem like you should not touch it when FTX happened. People that do not know what cryptocurrency is know that centralized exchanges are a risk after FTX. So that would deter people away from the markets even more in the next bull market. But thankfully, we now have these ETFs, which will allow them to get exposure in a much easier way and a much more desirable way. So we could see a huge amount of more adoption in the markets had these ETFs not been live. So very, very exciting for what's to come here in the markets. These ETFs are super bullish in the long term. If you take a look at what's happened to assets when they've had ETFs launch, if you take a look at what happened to gold after the gold ETF launched, you can see it is typically very, very bullish in the long term. And as somebody said earlier on in the chat, it adds a layer of legitimacy to the cryptocurrency space. This shows cryptocurrency is not going anywhere and it is here to stay. If we take a look at what's going on the 15-minute chart, we're having another attempt at breaking through that level of resistance here at $46,500. Maybe we can break through this. I would like to see a candle close on the half-hour chart above that level of resistance, and then we could be excited. But right now, we're getting rejected. That was not the move that we wanted to see straight away then. We'll keep a close eye on this and see what happens. Let's see what's going on in the chart here. Look at the ETH price in the 9 hour. That's a pump. If we take a look at Ethereum right now on the dollar chart, yes, it is moving to the upside. Ethereum is performing incredibly well against Bitcoin right now as well. As I have just pointed out, we do have a CME gap for the price of Bitcoin. Not something I'm too concerned about right now. If we pull this to the upside, let's go to here. We can see we have a CME gap at $40,000. Not something I think we need to be too concerned about right now. We have the launch of these ETF products tomorrow, and fingers crossed that's bullish, because if the acceptance of the SEC isn't, I don't know what is at this point. I don't know what is bullish at this point. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the crypto news today, and then we'll go back to the price. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We've got 70 likes on today's stream. I think we could reach 100 by the end of today's stream. I mean, I think 70 is already a record, but let's try and get 100. Let's take a look at what's going on here. ETF applicants begin slashing fees. We've just discussed that. We've got better to sell today. Peter Schiff warns amid fake Bitcoin ETF news. Maybe Peter Schiff was right after all. Why haven't we moved? Why isn't Bitcoin moving? Why isn't it at $100,000? It doesn't make sense. What else have we got here? $218 million in positions liquidated due to the SEC's account hack. So we did see a huge amount of liquidations yesterday. I think this is one of the reasons we haven't seen a huge amount of volatility today. And I think having that kind of uncertainty when it came to the acceptance of these ETFs, when that document went back offline for a short period of time on the SEC website, that uncertainty also caused that lack of volatility in the Bitcoin markets today. And it is a really big shame, because as I said earlier in today's stream, when we typically see big events like this, obviously we've never seen an event as big of this in cryptocurrency before, I would say, but when we see big events, for example, when we broke through the $20,000 all-time high, Bitcoin absolutely soared. When we saw that Tesla were accepting Bitcoin as a means of payment, Bitcoin absolutely soared, and that was the same kind of reaction that I was expecting to see today, because normally when we see events like this, the news comes out and the chart reacts before Twitter does, before the news articles do. Bitcoin in my mind, was going to do the same thing where it's already pumping before you realize what's happening, and then by the time you get to your exchange, it's too late to enter. But that did not happen, and that was a real big shock today. Maybe, as people say, if everyone's saying something's going to be true, it shouldn't be true. It won't be true. But we all knew at this point the SEC were in a corner. The SEC had to accept these ETFs. Maybe we should have doubted there was going to be a move. I just can't believe that this has happened. I can't believe there hasn't been a big move today. Let's take a look here. Over 90% of Bitcoin holders in profit above $46,000. So as Bitcoin continues to rise, so does the number of holders showcasing unrealized profits. So on Monday, Bitcoin rallied past $45,000, achieving a value of over $47,000. This move was followed up by a brief stint at $48,000 on Tuesday, resulting from the SEC's false announcement that it had approved spot ETF applications. But we are seeing here, according to WeBlockchain, Bitcoin is valued at $46,000, and above 90% of all addresses holding the asset are in profit. Of course, this remains an unrealized profit, but it demonstrates that the average buy of most holders is considerably lower than its all-time high. The Twitter account also noted that this is the first time since November 2021 that this statistic has occurred. So very bullish things here, and it's brilliant to see Bitcoin investors are having nice gains there. James says, Jess, it doesn't go live till market open tomorrow in US. Yeah, so we've just seen the acceptance of the SEC's of the SEC accepting these ETFs for now. We haven't actually seen the products go live in the markets. As I was saying earlier in today's stream, if you take a look at what happened on Monday for Bitcoin was really bullish on Monday morning. When the markets opened, it went bullish. We saw a nice move to the upside. And is this the move here? Monday, 8th of January. That was this week. The weeks are going fast, but the markets are going slow. Bitcoin pumped this Monday on the week of the 10th on the week where we were going to get a response from the SEC. As soon as the markets opened, Bitcoin pumped. So you could see that was a bullish thing in anticipation of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We can also see the Monday before, let me get this right, 1st of January, Bitcoin pumped. This was the week before we were getting the acceptance of the ETF. So on the anticipation of these ETFs, we have seen the markets move to the upside when the markets have opened for the week. Now I'm not expecting, nothing is financial advice, but we could potentially see something similar tomorrow where the markets open, and off the back of this bullish news, we do see some nice volatility. But that's what I'm hoping for. We never know here. On the 15-minute chart here, we are not seeing a break to the upside. James says, you young people are so impatient. I just want volatility now. I don't understand why we have not got it. Let's take a look at what is going on in the chat. I think what's happening here essentially is Bitcoin has been accepted. We all knew this for a very long time. We wanted volatility. We didn't get it. Now a lot of people are trying to front run Ethereum ETFs, altcoin ETFs, because we've all seen what happened to Bitcoin after ETF applications were made, and everybody wants to run that for different altcoins. Now we have already seen Ethereum ETF applications being created, but people are front running that for other altcoins as well and trying to get involved, trying to see the gains that we've seen in Bitcoin in some other projects as well. And maybe we will see some more applications coming from big institutions for altcoin ETFs. But I think we should be focusing on this right now because a Bitcoin ETF is so important. Let's take a look at what is going on for Chainlink quickly, because I want to see if that's still lagging behind the rest of the pack. We've got maybe a bigger move here now. Maybe I'm just on a bigger time frame. Let's take a look at this. It's now up 10%, so it was definitely lagging there. If we take a look at the 5-minute chart, in the time this stream has occurred, that was a brilliant call there. I wish I'd taken advantage of it instead of sitting in my Bitcoin trade when Bitcoin has not moved. Let's take a look at what else is going on. BNB, let's take a look here. This is also taking a nice move to the upside. I was definitely in the wrong trade with my Bitcoin. BNB is up 5% there. Let's take a look at Solana. We've already taken a look at all these altcoins. What other altcoins exist? Let's take a look at Crypto Saving Expert. What is the biggest gainers of the last 24 hours here? Arbitrum's up 21% almost. SEI's up almost 18%. We've got Synthetics up 15%. Biggest losers of the day have moved down less than 1%. That's how bullish the markets are right now. That's always a really good bullish indicator. Let's take a look at ARB and see what's going on there. ARB, USDT. Here we go. We can see a nice movement there very clearly. On the daily chart, seeing a massive pump. If we go to the 4-hour chart as well, it's just been super bullish. Even back since October 2023, this has been on a straight line to the upside. Let's take a look at what's gone on in the last couple of hours. So since that ETF approval, we've seen an increase of almost 10% there as well. So very nice movements there. What other altcoins should we be looking at on today's chat? Mars says you could also look at Polkadot. Let's take a look at Polkadot here today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss these live streams. We do these live streams every single weekday. We talk about the latest cryptocurrency news, and I think it is super important that you tune into these every single day. We've done them for over a year now, and the markets right now are super focused on what's going on in the news. If you're just using technical analysis, I wouldn't really say that is enough. We spend 24 hours a day researching what's going on in the cryptocurrency space and wrap it up for you for a 1 hour or half an hour live stream every single day. So make sure to tune in, and we can give you the lowdown on what's going on in crypto, and you can continue on your day without doing all of that research that we have to do to try and find out what's really happening. Let's take a look at what's going on for Polkadot here. So on the 4-hour chart, Polkadot is up almost 10%. It has actually slowed down at that level of resistance. I don't know how significant this level of resistance is going to be right now. All the altcoins are performing pretty well. Rob says Pepe is going up. DOT will go to 1,800 sat by Friday, says James. Someone wants to take a look at Injective. Is that the word? What we can see here is it's pumped nicely as well. I mean, we can take a look at all these altcoins, and I'm going to get very frustrated that I was in such a big Bitcoin position instead of looking at the altcoins. It's just putting salt in the wound here. What we can see is Bitcoin, no, not Injective. Is it Injective? Let's type it in just to confirm, because I am doubting myself on this today for some reason. I have been invested in this before. Injective, that is the word. What we can see here is not that. What we can see here is we have a level of horizontal resistance here at $44. If we take a look at the daily chart here, this is actually an all-time high. What we have is a strong level of resistance there, not too strong. Looks like we could be retesting it. We have already retested it within the last 24 hours, so 48 hours there. If we take a look, do we have a level of support? Do you know what? Things are just running. Things are moving to the upside. There's nothing too much more to say. Bitcoin may not be breaking through that level of resistance tonight. Maybe we do need to be waiting until the markets open back up again tomorrow, or maybe I'll exit my trade tonight and open in the morning and we'll be at $50,000 and I'll be very frustrated at myself. Either way, we will be back on a live stream tomorrow at 11 a.m. UK time, so make sure to stay tuned, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, and make sure to tune in every single day so you do not miss the latest cryptocurrency updates. I'll let you know how my trade goes tomorrow. Either I will get no sleep, or I will be in a loss, or I will make huge profits. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all there.